Hello, welcome to another edition of the Buddy Martin Show. It's Meldon Law Monday coming your way right here on this channel right now. Stay tuned. The Stars are out tonight at Spurrier's, and we got some direct reports for you. Plus, lots of talk about basketball and football right here on the Buddy Martin Show. Tell your friends and neighbors to join us. The Buddy Martin Show is now on the air.
Time again for Buddy Martin. Call him up and tell him what you're thinking. But be kind because he's doing the best he can.
Better, stronger, faster.
Mama says that alligators are ornery because they got all them teeth but no toothbrush.
Hey, what if the voice calls while you're gone?
Take a message.
Bye.
You ready, champ?
I'm ready for this my whole life.
I'm incapable of small talk. But that's why you love me, right?
Kind of intimidating to be in the presence of so many great athletes.
Evening and welcome to the program. It's a Monday night, Meldon Law Monday. We come to you 4 nights a week, sometimes 5. Could be 5 here soon. And it's a really busy night tonight. The Stars are all out at Spurrier's. The head ball coaches award for the best first-year coach being presented as we speak at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. We got our team there. Lauren Meadows is checking in. He'll check back with us tomorrow night, and we'll have live pictures from there coming your way. Matter of fact, we have pictures right here, right now, of some goings on, and we'll share with you a couple, thanks to Freddie Weeby. Then we'll go to our correspondent, Kyle Curtis, who's going to have a report for us on the new co-offensive coordinator. I'm not even sure what his title is, but you know what I'm talking about. It's happened finally. We'll talk about that with Kyle. And Rob Browne from the SEC Sidelines, our buddy, will be here to talk about a variety of topics, including court storming. It's a thing now, and it's gotten to be a bad thing. Two of the best players in the country injured over the weekend because of people storming the courts. I'm going to ask Kyle Curtis, too, because he's a student. I know when I was 19 or 20 and things happened like that in big moments, I would have had the temptation to storm the court or feel, except I was in the press box. I couldn't do that. So anyway, we'll talk about that. And then, of course, Franz Beard, the Iron Duke is here tonight. Lots of basketball. This Florida basketball team is really starting to shape up. We got some thoughts on that we'll share with you as well, all coming your way right here tonight. This is what's going on Spurrier's. This is Jamie Chadwell. He is the head coach at Liberty. And he's a recipient of the new Coach of the Year award. Let's see if I've got what else I've got here. And we got Coach Spurrier. Here he is, the legend himself, with 2 other legends, as well as, I guess that's Jamie Chadwell on his left. On his right is Mark Rick, who got the Legends Award tonight at Spurrier's. Our correspondent out there is having a great time. I asked Lauren Meadows to describe in one word the atmosphere. He said amazing. A lot going on. This award has really come up a long way, and Coach Spurrier having his name on it means an awful lot. So it should be a lot of fun tonight. We'll have a report from Lauren tomorrow night. Let's see. On the program tonight, let's talk about the offensive coordinator and Russ Callaway. Actually, whatever his title is, I have to get that straight from Kyle's story posted online right now as we speak. Russ Callaway, Titans coach. Now, it's been expected to happen for a while, but we have not heard anything more about it. And I guess today was, the official announcement. We all knew it was coming, no secret. So finally, Billy makes a move there. And he seems to be making moves ever so slightly, but making them, which is good. And so let's go right to the Orange and Blue Room and talk to the man who has the story up right now, our intrepid correspondent for all these years, our good friend and star correspondent, Kyle Curtis. What's up, Kyle?
How are we doing, guys? Good to see you, buddy.
Doing good, and thanks for that story. We were able to see Anyway, I can get a message from my producer here. Yeah. So bottom line is, I see you, you see me, and hopefully they see us, right? So
Yeah. I think it's all good.
yeah, seems to be waiting for comments to come in tonight. Kyle, you have a story tonight on on the new. I don't know what his title is. I forget what you said in the story, but we know what it is. Kind of the co-offensive coordinator, etc. Tell us about that story, what that means, and exactly how long this has been going on, and why this is the guy that we've been expected to be elevated, Russ Callaway, to the tight end. And what's your thoughts about it, and what's the deal?
Yeah, so obviously, heading back to last season even and going into the offseason, I think probably the biggest thing that Florida fans wanted to handle going into the offseason was, being able to have an official offensive coordinator and, being able to help Billy Napier out, whether that's in play calls, designs, basically just, schemes. So Russ Callaway already knows the system, was already on the staff. Excuse me. He coached tight ends, and he just got promoted up to co-offensive coordinator. So he will be with Billy Napier next year. Definitely an elevated role. To what extent, we're not sure yet. We don't know if he's going to be calling the plays or helping Billy Napier out calling the plays. So play calling wise, we're not sure, but his history shows he's an air raid guy. So that's why, him and Billy Napier might be able to complement each other, because Billy Napier is obviously used to the ground and pound style, stuff like that. But he was the offensive coordinator at Sanford. His quarterback there won the Walter Payton Man of the Year award, some award. Not the Walter Payton Man of the Year, but anyways, at Sanford he was absolutely wonderful as offensive coordinator there. Had an air raid style, so I think that it's going to be really good to bring it in. Hopefully he just goes well with Billy Napier. And he was also responsible for bringing in Amir Jackson, who was one of the top tight end recruits, obviously coming in as a freshman this year. So it's definitely exciting. It's what a lot of people wanted to see.
Yeah. So explain to me. And this has been going on for quite some time, unofficially. Billy's talked about it obliquely. He never really come out and said it. What was the final title he settled on, and what took so long, do you think?
Yeah, I think it was it's co-offensive coordinator. I'm not sure what co-offense coordinator means. We also just hired an executive head coach. So I don't know. There's throughout Billy Napier's staff, there's a lot of different titles that I think that you can really look into. But at the end of the day, I think that he's helping out with offensive quality control and being able to, bring new ideas to the table with probably just a, higher level of seniority. But what I think, probably took a long time is, I know Billy Napier is a very methodical and very, he wants things to be the way he envisions it. So I think that he took his time with this, and I think that he wanted to have someone in the program be able to step up, who's familiar with what he wants, what he has basically built here for the past 2-3 years. If he brought someone else in from another school or something like that, that's basically just starting from scratch and saying whatever I've done here the past 2-3 years meant nothing. So I think being able to elevate someone within the program who has seen his vision, who has been under his helm for the past year or so, I think that's at the end of the day, that was what was important to him.
I don't want to use the word obfuscate, but there was a guy in the NFL many years ago named Al Davis who never gave everybody the same common title. He used different titles. He didn't use offensive. He made up a title, and it sort of gave you questions like, okay, what does he really do, But I don't guess that really matters that much. I think it might have been the right choice at this time. If he's going to make that move, he should have made it last spring or last year, it seems like. So let's see, what has he done now? He's made changes. Go down the checklist. Offensive coordinator, all right? What else has he done?
Let's see. Well, we have the offensive coordinator. He still needs to replace the co-offensive line coach, so we still have one more spot. Mm-hmm. I think he's doing everything in the checklist to get people excited again for the upcoming season.
Executive head coach of defense, whatever that is, right? Got that going on. So he's stuck by Armstrong. I guess he's got a. I guess it's hard to keep track, which is the idea for us, is that he is actually, he has a move left to make. Whether he'll be another offensive line coach or not, that didn't seem to be very popular with a lot of people. We'll see. All right. So here's the deal. Callaway, give you a real quick final comment on Callaway. Your thoughts? You like it? You don't like it? What should we look for? And I'm going to ask you a basketball question. Rob Browne standing by. I want to get him on with us.
I think Callaway is great, and like I said, I agree. I think being able to elevate someone in the program, being able to have the same vision, and being able to just basically build up the integrity of the building and everything around it, and being able to have the same vision is something that he wants, and something that Florida needs to bring back. So I'm a fan of it.
Right. All right. So you're a student at Florida. You're about to finish up there. You've been a reporter now for 3 years. You've seen things. You heard things. You have opinions. You're a big sports fan. You're kind of a geek. There's an issue going on. We'll talk with Rob Browne about this too, from SEC sidelines. That is that there's a thing going on called court storming. You know what that is, obviously, which seems to have gotten out of hand. I saw a really good piece today outside the lines about there's been an average of, they say 3 a month or something. So quite a few more than usual. And now we've got 2 of the stars hurt. Caitlin Clark, the fellow prosecutor, what is his name? Two of the stars of the game hurt from court storming. It's getting to be serious now. Easy for the old timers to say. They weren't 21 with a few beers on their belly and whatever, and your team just pulling off an upset. You get excited. As a student and one who is both enthusiastic and strong-minded, where do you come down on this? And we'll get Rob in there.
So we actually had a debate about this in my class this morning, and where I stand on the matter is, I think that court storming is phenomenal. I think that's what makes college sports so awesome. There's not really many other sports in the entire world that, show as much passion for their team and stuff like that. And just the way of court storming. I mean, the way that they open up Sports Center after a massive game when I was a kid is, rushing the court and stuff like that. But I think that, I saw that outside the lines piece earlier too. 2 to 3 times a month is 2 to 3 times a month is just insane. I think that 1 to 2 times a year when you're being maybe the number 1 or 2 team and it's a once in a decade win, I think that's what it should be. I think, if you're winning a top 20 game at home, and it's, an in-conference game and, you're playing these people 2 times a year, I don't think that there's any need for it. But then again, I mean, Florida fans wanted to rush the court 2 years ago when we beat Auburn at home, and we play Auburn 2 times a year. And they were still a number 4, number 5 team. It was the biggest win in however many years for Florida basketball. But I think it also goes into the what your school motto is, that the brand of the school. Florida fans have always said online that the brand of Florida is too good to rush the court because we're too good for that, or that makes it seem like we're an inferior opponent or stuff like that. So I think that everything's good in small doses. I think that three times a month is a little bit crazy, but once or twice, when you're being the number 2 team in the nation and it's a massive upset, I want to be able to keep it in the game, but it's making it hard.
Did you see the video of people that were hurt?
Yeah, I did see that. And the other thing about that is, I think in a situation like that where you're bringing in the number 3, number 4 team in the country at home, you have the most people. I think Wake Forest, that was their most attended game ever. I think they rushed the court before the buzzer even sounded. You got to be able to prepare for that and at least try and block it off. At Florida games, they always say with 3 minutes left, it's like, please don't rush the court, stuff like that. But they have cops and barricades and everything up there. You got to be able to prepare and at least try and minimize the damage.
Yeah. All right. Standing by, Rob Browne. We're going to take a break real fast. Don't go anywhere. I'll get Rob's take on this as well. We're going to hear from Jeffrey Meldon on Meldon Law Monday, and back with Rob Browne and Kyle Curtis on the Meldon Law Monday. Let's talk about some hoop. Interesting things going on, boys and girls, right now. It's going to be interesting next couple of weeks. Stand by for more right here on the Buddy Martin Show. Jeffrey Meldon. Jeffrey, you do a show where you ask a lot of questions. I've got one for you right now, okay, regarding how do you know whether your case is being handled right and what to do about it. In medicine, you can get a second opinion if you're not satisfied with the doctor's opinion that they have. And do you have that in law? Can you do that with lawyers?
Yeah, buddy. As a matter of fact, we get quite a few calls from folks that have signed up, particularly with the big box law firms, that they do a hell of a good job of putting ads on TV, but after that, they don't really measure up to the way we try to create a client experience that's outstanding. And we're always willing to review a case and give a second opinion, just like with a doctor, because not all law firms are created equal.
I guess that's the normal thing. Just go to Meldon Law, Google it, and find out, and just give them a call. And like you say, if you come in, you get to see a Meldon. You don't get shuffled off to somebody else. You get to see a Meldon, and that's good to know, because a lot of people don't know how to do that stuff, like me. And maybe you can coach us through. So Meldon Law, they won't back down. They will take your questions about your case if you have a question.
Yes, whether it's a new case or an existing case, give us a call. We'd be glad to go over it with you. There's no charge to review your case with you. And a lot of times it makes good sense just to get a second opinion.
Good stuff from Meldon Law. They don't back down, but they will give you a second opinion. Now back to the Orange and Blue Room. Let's go. No, our comments section doesn't seem to be working tonight. We'll find out what's going on there. Kyle Curtis is here, and now in the Orange and Blue Room, our good friend and the host of SEC Sidelines, Mr. Rob Browne. What's up, Rob? How you doing, man?
Oh, man, I've been listening to y'all's conversation, like what I'm hearing. And Kyle's smart. Kyle, what year are you in school?
I'm a senior, so I'm on the home stretch here.
Yeah, I mean, and I've got two boys your age and two girls a little bit older. But I'll say this. My kids were in Section 42 at Kick 6 11 years ago, and they had no choice but to go down on the field because everybody on top of them came. And, Max was in the middle of Chris Fowler and Gus Malzahn on the set over in the corner. My 13-year-old son, at the time he was 13, he's 23 now, waving the pom-poms, standing next to all the cheerleaders and stuff. It was incredible. And I was out there at midfield at the 50. It was a great night. I like to say, I'm with you about the enthusiasm. That's part of the passion. I said the one thing we might do is have a 2-minute time period for the opposing team to get off the court. And then let the fans come out there, because, look, you can't – who owns college football? Buddy says it all the time. Who owns college sports? It's the fans. And just use common sense. And I think I don't know what happened, if that guy for Duke was hurt before they stormed the court or not.
Looked like on the video he got hit, didn't it, Rob?
Yeah, I'm not sure if he was already hurt and they were trying to get him off the court. Yeah. That's the only thing. But I don't think we need to have a congressional hearing about shutting it down. I mean, I think that you're smart. I hope you become a writer, and I hope you start writing soon.
He's a writing. He's a writer. He's already a writer. He's the star of our staff.
Yeah, exactly. Because if you got the best mentor. And my intern, William Halliday, is a sophomore writer for the Auburn Plainsman. He's already asked if he can be an intern for Buddy and Brendan. So, look, I agree with what you said, man. Buddy's and just because Buddy's older or I'm older than you or whatever doesn't mean that we don't want to have fun. Probably just, a couple of minutes. Just like I remember coaches used to not 40 and 50 years ago want their teams to shake hands after a football game because, emotions can get kind of high and stuff like that. But at some point, you got to learn to keep those in check. And but storming the court, give it a 2-minute cooling off period, and then let her rip, man. Have fun. I mean, you did win the game. It means a lot.
Let's talk about the landscape of college basketball. It's getting pretty exciting. Number one got knocked off yesterday. And now Houston, boy, it conjures up memories of Phi Slamma Jamma. I was there for that team in Albuquerque. What a team that was. Them being number one now. Of course, as we know, the polls don't mean anything right now. It's all about the seeding and, of course, the committee picks. But there's going to be some helter-skelter out there. Nobody's skating. There's no one dominant team. And all of a sudden, there's some teams in the middle of the pack that are coming out. I know we have orange and blue glasses here, Rob, Kyle, so let's let Rob take it. But I'm telling you what, the team I'm seeing right now, Florida, is so good. There's so many intangibles I see on this team that people haven't even talked about that I don't know how good they're going to be. I can't tell. Of course, they can go away, too. And, Rob, what do you hear about the Florida Gators?
I mean, I say this every day when we're talking about Florida, and I look at stocks on a 200-day moving average. They're trending. They're going to break out. Florida has been leading the nation in rebounding, and they've got great guard play. Todd Golden gets a full 40 out of his Gators every time they play. They've now won 7 of the last 8 of the last 9. They're sitting there at, right up there. If they were to close out with a perfect ending and some other things happen, they could win the SEC. So I think Florida's really good. They're talented, and I think they've got a chance to have a really good run in the SEC tournament. I love it. I think they'll do well in the NCAA tournament. They're just built for it. That's how I think. But I still think Tennessee is going to win the regular season championship. They've got to get past Auburn Wednesday night. So, but I think at Thompson Bowling, they're going to be really tough. If Connect is on and he's got some support from the other 5 or 6 guys, they're hard to beat. I don't care if you're playing them in outer space.
Yeah. All right. So Kyle, what we saw from I got a new nickname, by the way, for the Bigs. Everybody talks about the guard play, and they should. I mean, the two of the best, one of the best tandems in the country. These guys are amazing. They showed why the other night. And I admit that in the tournament, Rob and Kyle, you have to have guards who know how to handle the ball, can shoot threes, can also make their foul shots and handle the ball without turning it over. This is what you have to have. But I'm going to tell you what, these bigs they got, these young guys, I mean, they're long and they're aggressive. And what they do on the court, when you talk about big guys, young big guys, the future they got. So anyway, yeah, I think they should be called the smash and grab because they go to the glass, and you're talking about Condon, Hoff, Handglut, and Samuels. These guys can really are amazing. It's hard to say when I've seen a better offensive rebound team than this. Am I over the top on this, Kyle?
No, not at all. Not at all. Rob related to it. Defense wins games, rebounds win championships. That's what my high school coach used to tell me. And being able to have guys like Tyree Samuel and Micah Handglotten. Obviously, Handglotten, I think he's only a sophomore, but Tyree Samuel's in that room, and he's a 4-year guy at Seton Hall who was an all-conference player, comes in with a massive amount of, veteran capability in the locker room. And Condon and Thomas Hall were not massively recruited people. These are people that Todd Golden had on his radar, circled him, and it was like, we need these guys. Condon, I think, is from Australia. So these are, not ESPN 100 guys that Todd Golden and his staff went out there, recruited, and have them as massive contributors on one of the hottest teams in the country right now. And going back to the guard play, if you would have told me, 25 games into the season that Riley Kugel's only having 4 minutes and we've won 8 out of our 9 past games, and, a preseason second team all SEC guy is only getting 4 or 5 minutes, and I don't know. I just think the city of Gainesville is absolutely ecstatic about this team. Even for the Vanderbilt game this past weekend, not a massive game, an 8-19 Vanderbilt team was absolutely electric in there. So it's really fun right now, and Alabama's coming next week, so that's going to be awesome. But like Rob said, Tennessee and Kentucky is absolutely clicking right now. I don't know if you guys have watched any of their games. Antonio Reeves, Rob Dillingham is starting to click off the bench. He's going to be a lottery pick. So there's a lot of really good teams right now. UConn looks absolutely phenomenal. But I love college basketball because there really is not one really good team that you think is going to be able to win the tournament. So I think it's going to be about who gets hot at the right time. And, with that backcourt, we're not just one of the best in the SEC. We're one of the best in the nation. And I think with the combination of the bigs down low, the sky's the limit.
Good point. Yeah. I want to talk about this is the time of year we start noticing refereeing even more. Rob, I know we're going to have some controversial calls, and they're going to blow some. Let's be honest. I have a good friend of mine who's called 6 Final Fours. We talk about it on air lots. Officials make mistakes. They're humans too, and they're going to blow some calls. But the one I saw the other night was one of the most egregious ones I have ever seen in my life. Rob, you didn't see it, but Kyle did. Condon dove for a ball, and he got hammered in the back of his head, and there's no foul call. And foul was called on him. Yeah. And it was so bad that after the game was over, the SEC officials suspended the player who did it. And the officials didn't call it. I mean, that's egregious when you don't see it right in front of your eyes, and you got. I mean, please. So I know that was a hard one, no call.
Yeah, especially in a tough game like that, where every possession was mattering.
Physical.
Really. So.
I saw that. It looked like jiu-jitsu when he came down on him like that.
Yeah.
I mean, how you missed that? That was studio wrestling.
That was a WWE.
Yeah, that was a W. Yeah, that's jiu-jitsu. Trust me, I know. And that's what that was. One thing about Florida and that Alabama game is that once Alabama got Sears involved in the game, Franz Beard was on the show this morning. SEC Sideline Sports Network.
You get him on your show when I get him on mine lately. I don't know.
Yeah, the Iron Duke is everywhere. Yeah, but he was pointing that out, and that the calls. Look, you got to play a full 40, and the number one goal is to win the game. But you've also got to make sure the referees don't dictate who wins or who loses. Yeah. And I just was always taught that don't make excuses. Don't blame the officials. You got to look inward, because if you start doing that, you're in trouble. And I heard you saying a second ago, Kyle, and you, buddy, about Kentucky. Shepherd is a hell of a guard. They've always had the most talent. Florida, or Kentucky is like the kids of a billionaire entrepreneur that don't work till they're 25 or 30, but when they decide to go to work and get serious, they're really good. They're just now waking up, and I think it's an embarrassment of riches. I know that phrase is used a lot, but damn, we're going to Nashville, and I hope you're going to be up there, Kyle. They call it Catville. When they play in Atlanta, they call it Catlanta. And you know what I'm talking about, when they play Auburn, because all the vets in Kentucky, they don't have a vet school, so Auburn has 25 or 30% of the slots for Kentucky students and people from the state of Kentucky. Big Blue Nation, damn, they're everywhere. But this Florida, I'm with you about Florida, though. Golden his guys love playing for each other. I don't see a lot of fighting. I look at Alabama. They've scored triple digits in 8 of their last 9 games. They got beat by 115-95 Saturday. They still scored 95. But I think Kentucky's the wild card because they have the most talent, as Buddy and you both referenced a minute ago.
Florida had that game won at Alabama. Kyle let it get away. That seems to be their problem. I mean, yes, it was a wonderful effort, no doubt about it. But there's games like that that make the difference in whether you make it or don't make it, and it's so close. They're pretty getting better, and then they have a lapse, and they've got the kind of team you don't want to play in March.
SEC is just so deep this year. I mean, even go down to Auburn, Texas A&M. I mean, Wade Taylor over there at Texas A&M is quietly putting up one of the best numbers in the country at point guard. So, you got Auburn, who's also they were a top 10 team early in the season and have kind of fell off a little bit, but they're starting to get their feel again. But there's realistically 8 or 9 SEC teams that could be in the tournament at the end of this thing. And, Florida's right in the thick of it to win the regular season SEC championship. So I think, that says a testament to the Gators. And I also think it says a testament to Todd Golden, because this team looks extremely different than how it started that first game. And, that's what makes the good coaches, is being able to recognize what your weaknesses are and then fix it by the time the tournament comes.
March Madness is right around the corner. Coming up a couple more days of February, and then we're going to have it. With March comes spring football, and now we begin to see the bringing in the end of the sheaves. What's going to happen with these players that they think they've got or don't have, or more players showing up? It's still kind of confusing. It's so confusing. It's bad enough that we can't understand the NIL and all the other things, transfer portal. Now we've got to figure on this expansion program with these 2 new teams, Texas and Oklahoma. And Rob and I will be able to help you with that soon. We're going to be doing some 101 stuff on the expansion. But let's talk for a second about this, and maybe Franz is listening on the other room. We'll get his take on this. That you got to bring in your horses. Right now, everything seems to be hinging. Everything in Florida hinges on one man, DJ Lagway. If anything should happen to him, it's bust. It's over. And even though we've heard whispering or whatever, it looks like things are going well. I'll get your take on this, guys. Then we'll bring Franz in. DJ Lagway is enrolled in Florida. He, of course, had to go through the process. He handled it gracefully. The financial part of this we don't know, but obviously it's going to be a big deal. I've heard numbers that you have too, Kyle, about what it might be. But they've got to get this guy. And according to the release to this week, on the fact they've got him nailed down with his all this other stuff. On 3 stories said Lagway will work with network advisory Justin J. Giangrande and legacy sports advisor Derek Jackson, the former which worked with Tim Tebow. Jackson helped Anthony Richardson with NIL. So that's good. So all this stuff has to be packaged now and done together. You just don't learn the playbook. You got to have you got to learn a Wharton School of Business, how to do a budget and everything else too.
Yeah.
So how imperiled are we there in that, and what's that about? And let's bring Franz in to join us, talk about that. Says Lagway appears to be, good to go, and let's get Franz, the Aaron Duke, in here, who's probably going watching 2 baseball games and 3 basketball games as we speak. And say good evening to the Aaron Duke. How you doing, buddy?
Another day in paradise, guys.
Hey, it is paradise when Franz is on here.
Well, I'm not sure what show I'm on. I have to check it and see. I see Rob and Franz. Well, wait a minute. Is that? Oh, wait a minute. Oh, there's Kyle. Okay, so I see him. I don't know how much of that you heard, Franz, about getting Lagway squared away, and the announcement this week that he's set with his agent and all that sort of stuff. And let's go around the horn for a second and say, would you be a little uneasy about some of your players now, or do you think they're all tucked away and good to go? Franz, you go first.
Yeah, I've heard everything that is fine with Lagway, that his family's good with everything, and that there are no issues here. I don't know, maybe somebody's got information that the rest of us don't have, but everything I've heard is, and I've talked to a couple people in the last couple of days about him, and is that he is really happy here at Florida and is telling everybody that he definitely made the right choice, the right coach, right everything. I also hear that he's very, very happy with Russ Callaway coming in as the offensive coordinator.
Okay. How's that match up with you, Kyle?
Yeah. I mean, NIL-wise, at the end of the day, it's a business. And I think same as Franz, I've heard nothing but positive stuff coming from the Lagway's camp and basically everything that has to do with that. And, that he's liking the coaches, stuff like that. But, down the line, I guess, a year, say, Graham Mertz plays, we have a decent season, Lagway doesn't get as much, the media starts talking, all that kind of stuff. A year from now, the kind of thing that's holding me together is the fact that, Lagway has such a massive national name and such a massive public image that he's going to be able to bring in his own NIL deals, and that it's all not just going to be laid onto the Florida Victorias. He's going to be able to pull in different sponsors and stuff like that and help out other people, on the team too. So I think that, being in the NIL era and being able to have a massive social media presence, being able to, win all these high school awards and have so much hype going in to college is, only going to help him and help the Gators and all.
Rob, around the league, you hear anybody with tremors or concerned about their bringing in their people?
Well, I think everybody is. I mean, Nick Saban comes back from losing to Michigan in the semifinals, and a day or two later, he's got a bunch of 18, 19-year-old kids coming in there going, what are you going to give me? Next day, it's 15. Next day, it's like 20. Nick Saban says, screw y'all, I'm out of here. And I'm not attacking Kyle, but again, in my practice in wealth management, in 33 years, it's still zero. The number of families that have ever given any money other than room, tuition, books, a little bit of spending money to their kids. The thought of giving an 18-year-old kid 7 figures, 1.5, whatever it is, you are playing with oil and gas and matches simultaneously. And the problem is, and I think there's a great line in the song from Hank Williams Jr., All My Rowdy Friends Have Settled Down. He said, hangovers hurt more than they used to. Cornbread and iced tea took the place of pills at 90 proof. I don't think, and Franz and Buddy probably would agree with me, and Kyle, you would too if you played sports, I don't think the losses hurt the student athletes today like they used to. Because as a fan, I want to see those guys in the locker room smashing their lockers in tears, madder than hell after a loss. Because that means they care. Now you got these kids that are over there checking their stat sheets, checking their Schwab account or whatever it is, see how, hopefully they're investing in the stock market. But I think a lot of them don't care. There's no relationship for the most part with most of these kids coming in. So that's got me concerned. As far as DJ Lagway goes, he's a phenomenal talent. But if you are in year 2 at the University of Florida and you're not winning, what's wrong? You have everything. You have the best talent. Texas and Florida, the best talent in America. Best quarterbacks, it's California. So to me, this is the year. And Florida fans, again, just looking at it from Auburn and the rest of the SEC, 11-14 the first 2 years. I've grown up with Florida as a huge rival. Got a ton of respect for that program. And I hate to see, look at Miami. But Florida State, look what it took for Mike Norvell to do. I watched him at Memphis. In his 3rd year, look what happened. So he's in a different conference and all. But I just think we got to watch out with NIL that there's not too much of a fanfare before he takes his first snap. Because that's why they didn't used to let freshmen play. Because if DJ Lagway goes out and lays an egg in his first game or two, the criticism, can he handle it? That's what he's got to ask. I would just take it slowly, and Mertz is a pretty damn good quarterback anyway.
Kyle?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And, on Rob's point where I think it goes back to it being a business. I don't think anyone's having a speech like Tebow did in 2006.
Yeah, there you go.
After a loss. I think everyone's kind of, more worried about how they're setting up for the NFL draft or, all right, when can I get out of here and when am I going to be in the best position for myself? Which honestly, at the end of the day, if you're getting offered, if you're an 18, if I'm in the position I'm in right now and I'm a, 4 or 5-star recruit and I'm not getting any minutes whatsoever and I get offered $1.2 million to go somewhere else, I'm sorry, but that's, I would have to, like
as a parent, I would say go.
I'm trying to put myself in my own shoes or in their shoes here. And it's like, as a fan, you're like, damn, like, why are you doing that? But at the end of the day, it's life-changing money for, chasing your dreams. So, I mean, there's two different battles, and you're never going to be able to get to a right answer. But yeah, the competitive kind of college atmosphere of it has kind of been taken away a little bit, especially on football. And I think that's where it's shown the most.
Franz and I have been in this rodeo a long time. We've seen this come and go in different forms. We've seen it back in baseball free agency, back when Curt Flood became a free agent. And now we have always heard it was going to kill the game. The goose that gave gold laid the golden egg and all that sort of stuff. How wrong was I thinking that way back in those days? And every time I get into an argument with someone about you can't do this to these athletes, it's going to destroy the concept of the team. You know, someone would throw in the idea that Sonny Werblin discovered something early on about football. It's show business. That's why he made Joe Namath the highest paid quarterback in the league with the Jets. And that's what sells tickets. And people would say to me, well, if he was a performer and went out there and do 30,000 people, would you have any problem with him making all that money? So there's that, which it's hard to swallow. You like to think there's something very even about this, but it's out of the bottle now. We know what the formula is, and it's difficult to understand. The coaches who can bring it together, and I don't know whether that's what drove Saban out or not, may have been, who can hold it together and make it work for them will be the ones who will prosper. I don't know. Kirby Smart seems to be done pretty well so far. What do you think, Franz?
I think that what happened Friday is the game changer. And I understand what everybody talks about the market driving everything like this. But here's the thing Sonny Werblin had. Sonny Werblin had a contract, okay? An enforceable contract. This is the thing that when Curt Flood became a free agent, Major League Baseball still had the power of an enforceable contract that a player could get free agency, but there were rules you had to follow. Now that the judge up in Tennessee has said there are no rules anymore and the NCAA has no power to enforce them, one of two things is going to happen. Either we're going to have all hell breaks loose, which is what we've had, only it's going to double and triple. And the second thing that's got to happen is the conference commissioners have got to tell the conference presidents of the schools, your time has come and gone. You brought us the NCAA. This is what it got us. Now, this is a business. It's time to run it like a business, which it hasn't been. For all the money that gets exchanged in college sports, and it is tremendous, it's only a quasi-business in that they can't do what they need to do because they have this silly NCAA, which has its socialistic, those poor people down at Western Walla Walla, they can't afford to wear the best cleats. So everybody's got to wear these bad ones, they can't afford to send but 65 on a road trip, so nobody else can. That's the stupidity of the NCAA.
Yeah.
And what you've got now is it's time for the people, the commissioners and the athletic directors and the coaches to say, enough is enough. We're forming our own league. We're making our own rules, and we will enforce them. And I'll give you an idea how to enforce the rules real quick. Everybody says, well, how can you enforce the rules? I'll tell you how. You cheat, you say, okay, you cheat. First offense is a $15 million fine. Your second offense is a $30 million fine. And if you do a third one, you're fined $50 million and you can't play for a year. It only takes a couple of people getting fined, and they get the idea. And you see, this is what they do in the NFL. The NFL, you screw around and people say, well, a $50 million fine is nothing to Jerry Jones. Maybe it isn't to some people, but Jerry Jones, I guarantee you, wakes up every morning, picks up his cell phone, and the first thing he knows is down to the penny how much money he's got, how many billions he's got. And this is what's got to happen. And trust me, guys, what has happened now with this judge saying the NCAA has no rules? It means that anybody and everybody can go out and buy players, and whoever has the most money is going to get them until we get something settled.
That's the way it's been for a while, and that's the way it's going to be. And the question is, who's in charge? Now, I want to put this question before you while I just tell you about Titan MRI. That is, the SEC and Big Ten are talking about meeting again. All right? As someone says, what is that going to mean? Are we seeing mega conferences when Sankey meets with the commissioner? What's going to happen is who's going to be able to get control of this massive thing? It's just too big right now. So think about that for a second while I tell you about Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing facility right there in Gainesville. But you can get to it easily if you're within 50, 100 miles. They'll make accommodations for you. It's excited to let you know Titan MRI is open, serving Greater Gainesville, North Central Florida. Focus on you, the patient, having a great customer service experience. Most people lead a busy life, although we have regular business hours. We're available by appointment evenings and weekends if you'd like to be able to do that. They can accommodate you. Who does that? Makes accommodation for you on nights and weekends. So check them out. Go to TitanMRI.com and check it out. TitanMRI.com. Making a big difference in the world of MRIs. All right, guys, there's got to be some changes made here. Among the things we're talking about is getting more cozy with Washington, the Big Ten, and the big SEC. Where's our hope lie? Who needs to meet? Who needs to talk? And who's going to make this thing go? Let's start with you, Kyle. Who would you like to see meet to get this thing off its schneid?
I don't know. It's the NCAA has never failed to amaze me when it comes to some decisions they make. And, doing research and looking back at all of it seems to have been a common trend leading up to this point. And here we are. So, but now this is what we got to deal with. And we're leaning towards big conferences. And honestly, what I think is going to end up happening is that these conferences are going to get so big and that they're going to be able to, go against the NCAA and be able to form their own kind of thing. And I don't know if that's the answer. I don't know if that's actually what's going to happen, but I wouldn't be surprised if, we get, 10, 15 years from now, massive conference and, you just decide your championship that way. I don't know. There's so many different avenues to figure it out. And I think the NCAA will probably just end up choosing the wrong one.
Rob?
I think the NCAA is done. Franz and I and you and we all talk about it, but it's over. Now they're just trying to find a way out, sort of like when a dictator is being deposed, how can he make a graceful exit? And they put him in exile somewhere like Ferdinand and Imelda Marcos, go down the list. I also want to tell you something that's kind of scary. If you think Alabama's been good in recruiting, they finished number 2 this year. The Red Elephant Club, the benevolent and protective order of the Red Elephant Club, which was founded in 1958 with the motto, never again. After Auburn had won the national championship, they brought Coach Bryant back. Just in the last week, have they started getting involved with NIL. You better get ready for what's coming from Tuscaloosa. I know these folks, they don't play around, and they are terrified of slipping. Nick Saban's out, so watch out on that end. But as far as the NCAA, I'd like to see someone like Rick Neuheisel or Urban Meyer or Nick Saban, be a commissioner. But I think, Franz, when you brought it up this morning, why not have – you could have a football person, a basketball person, rotate it that. I don't know about that. I'd like to have 3 people, maybe 5, stand at a table with no chairs in the meetings like Buddy's meetings that he has with Brendan and me on Fridays, 15 minutes or less. Get it done. Getting Washington involved is the worst thing we can do because they could screw up a 2-car funeral. Okay? They're incompetent, and they don't know what they're doing. The antitrust laws were passed in September of 1890 by Senator John Sherman from Ohio. That's all the NCAA has to worry about. And I am a right-wing, devout, capitalist, free enterprise, free market guy. The Supreme Court rarely agrees on anything. Okay? They almost never agree unanimously 9-0. But you cannot tell someone how much money they can make. You can't. But I would say if we had a commissioner, we could put the money these kids get for NIL in trust, age-banded trust. They get it at age 25, 30, and 35, or incentive-based trust. If they maintain a certain GPA, because, they are student athletes. And Kyle, you're one of the most impressive kids. I have boys your age. You are squared away. You got great mentors. Stay close to these guys for the next 70 years, okay? 80 years, whatever you do this. But I'm going to tell you something. Put it in where they can have the money. Because, Kyle, if you had $1 million right now, I'm a financial advisor. I'm on a wealth management team. I've been doing it 33 years. Man, I always tell people, if someone asks you if you got a lot of money, what do? Tell them you're a rodeo clown, okay? Or tell them you're a zookeeper. Don't let people know you have money. They'll treat you differently. But I just say that I wish we could do that, because I'm worried not so much about the 18-year-old kid. It's the 15 or 20 maggots and parasites around them that are going to suck the life out of them. That's all I'm saying. And financial literacy, we better start teaching this stuff, or we're going to have a bunch of guys 22 and 23 years old that are broke.
Very good.
How I see it.
Francis?
Here's I think what I want to see is a commissioner at the top, but I want to see a commissioner for each sport as well.
Good point.
I think that putting one commissioner in charge of all the sports all the time, and he's the end all be all of everything, is asking too much. I think we wind up with a Roger Goodell then that everybody hates. What I'd like to see is this: get powerful people in charge. For example, have a commissioner, let's say Greg Sankey at the top. And then you have as your football commissioner, let's say, as you just said, put Urban Meyer in charge of football. Hire Billy Donovan away from the NBA. Make him the basketball commissioner. I'm just throwing names out here.
Yeah.
Etc. College baseball. Goodness, Alex Rodriguez. My gosh. You got all these Hall of Famers, Frank Thomas. Smart guys like that who know what they're doing. Put them in charge, and then if you've got a problem, and it exceeds what, for example, the football guy, if this exceeds what he really feels is capable of doing on his own, then you bring in the other commissioners and you say, okay, we're all going to sit down and take a vote on this, and then the guy at the top has the veto power, and he could say, think again, come to it again. That's what I believe we've got to have something where you have enforceable rules and you have people who are of integrity in charge of each sport. And if we do that, I think, if the NCAA had done that, what has the NCAA done? The NCAA hires a bunch of stooges to run, your committee. Well, we have the basketball selection committee and the baseball. But who's in charge? Who's in charge? I mean, it's like, what you remember, I used it in my column today. Pogo. We have met the enemy. They is us. And that's what we've got. We've got to come to some sort of situation where someone is in charge. And it can't be the NCAA because they are clueless. Any organization that would hire Cedric Dempsey, he was one of them. I'm trying to think of the guy from Virginia who was another one, and then they came up with Mark Emmert, and now this bozo they've got. I mean, you're talking about 4 people in a row that couldn't run a convenience store.
Here's my solution. I think we need to. Have you guys seen the show Undercover Boss? I think we need to go undercover boss into the into the NCAA, figure it out, start it from the down or from the bottom up, and I don't know. I like you guys said. I think being able to bring someone who's been in the fire and actually have a point of view of being, like a Nick Saban, like an Urban Meyer, especially with this whole new NIL game. It's a completely different game of probably when all these guys started doing working in the NCAA office. So I think being able to bring in a new speed, a new level of a person who's actually been out there and put his been in a head coaching position, been on the field, been in the games, been having to deal with NIL stuff. I think that would be good. But I'm gonna stick with my undercover boss prediction.
For years, Sports Illustrated had this guy that at World Series time would go through the roster of all of both teams, and the team that had the most people with ties to the Cubs had a remarkable string. I think it was like 90% of the time they lost the World Series. He did this for about 25 years, and whoever had, he called it the essence of Cubness, and whoever had the most ex-Cubs lost. This is what I think about the NCAA. If you have anybody who ever worked for the NCAA in your organization, you have already lost. Just like if you have anybody who ever worked for the United States Congress in your organization, you have already lost. Find a businessman who knows sports.
Yeah. You can't allow negative thoughts to enter your mind if you want to be successful at anything. It's not allowed. And I'll say this, you get people in the NCAA, like a lot of college presidents and academic people that have tenure. I don't have tenure in my job as a financial advisor, nor as the host of SEC Sideline Sports Network. Every day we got to gut check and prove ourselves. When you've got a bunch of people that are overpaid, that have no accountability, this is what you get. And there was no leadership to head off July 1st of 2021 when NIL became the law of the land. But it's a total myth and a lie that it's based on, that these student athletes are victimized by these big, powerful universities. It's completely the opposite. They are provided with an opportunity to get an education and to display their talents and skills all over the nation and around the world and have fame forever. As Wimp Sanderson said one time when he was asked after an Alabama basketball game, "Coach, how many of your players have graduated?" "As many as wanted to." That's the way I look at it. It's on them. You know what? Sua sponte, of your own accord. Live by that motto. There's none of that going on in the NCAA because we got a bunch of Kool-Aid drinkers wearing skinny jeans that don't have the backbone to enforce any kind of character in these kids, and they need it. They're starved for it.
I would like to have a pair of skinny jeans. Here's the problem with that, and that is that a long time ago, players should have been compensated, and everybody knows that. They should have come if they'd have been compensated some. And I've had athletic directors and coaches. Look at Coach Spurrier, threw his wallet up on the table in desk and said, "Okay, I'll pay my players out of my pocket. How about you?" And Bill Carr, who died just recently, told me a story about the fact that there was a big mistake made among the people in power in college football back in what was the year they started first paying Olympic athletes? 1990, was it? Whatever year it was.
92.
He said, well, whenever they started paying college athletes, Olympic athletes, they should have started paying college football players or college athletes. If we started then, we wouldn't have had this problem. That was Bill Carr's situation. So a little bit of that is true. I think the fact is, when you get right down to it, I love Steve Spurrier's way of doing business. What's fair? What's fair is fair. I believe in what's fair. Make a deal. Is it fair to you? Is it fair to me? I think this is the situation. We have not reached an accord on what is fair, friends. We don't know that yet. We know not getting anything is not fair. We also know that some players making $1.67 million a year is not fair. So can they bring it back to fair, friends?
I think they can, but I think they've got to be careful in how they do it. One of the things that is concerning, and one of the okay, let's start with two things real quick. Number one, in 1996, when the players first started going to court against the NCAA, here's what they were asking for: health care beyond their years, which the NCAA said they couldn't get, and pay for school because I may not be able to finish in 5 years. Will you pay for school beyond that? That's all they asked for.
Yeah.
And when they got denied, they got angry and started asking for more and more and more. And the NCAA kept fighting and fighting and fighting and lost. So you have a situation where players feel very, very empowered right now. They feel like they run the show. And I've heard all this stuff. Well, what if the players go on strike? Fine. Let them go on strike. And then you fire them, and then you say, no more money, guys. And if you went on strike, you can't come play for anybody ever again. And wait a second. You mean I'm the third string center? I went on strike and I can't get my scholarship money anymore and I can't get all this other stuff? Absolutely. Players are not in charge, but there has to be a partnership here. And that's the point, is you've got to bring the two extremes together, the fear of the players and the players feeling empowered, and come to a point where you say, as Buddy just pointed out, what is fair? It can be done, but first and foremost, people have to be able to talk about it. And the NCAA's biggest problem is it's never been willing to talk.
All right, guys, great discussion, all three of you. Thanks so much, Rob. Thank you, Kyle. Thank you, Franz.
Yeah.
Have a good night, guys. And tomorrow we're going to have Coach Spurrier on tomorrow night on the show. Tonight, as we speak, he's giving his first-year awards out of Spurrier's Grand Reel. He'll be on the program this tomorrow night, so check it out. All right, guys, have a good one. Appreciate you.
It was a pleasure, guys.
Enjoyed it. Loved it.
All right, Rob. Thank you very much, Rob and Franz and Kyle. All right, I want to tell you folks about some people that are very fair and been generous to us. That's Friendstar Medical Research. Friendstar has been around a long time, supportive of programs and things to the community, most of all concerned about your health. They hold these clinical trials quite frequently, and their goal is to get better treatment for you with some of these with some of these drug trials and things that you need to know about. You can be a part of these as well. Clinical trials exist today to bring new therapies into the public safely, and they would not be possible without a commitment of you folks out to the volunteers. If you want to volunteer at Friendstar, become a part of some of these clinical trials, you can do so. If you qualify, you get time compensated for time and travel. No obligation to your insurance company or anything else. So if you participate, you may receive study-related medications, procedures at no charge to you or your insurance, and you can benefit from information that you learn there, and of course, help set the course for better treatments. Of course, the whole situation is based on getting some of this information to some of these pharmaceutical companies for better treatment for you. So if you want to be a part of this, check them out. Go to Friendstar.net and find out how you can help. Friendstar, seeking tomorrow's answers for the health questions of today. Thanks to our guests tonight. Good show with Rob Browne and Kyle Curtis, Franz Beard. I'm Buddy Martin. Have a great night. Back tomorrow night, same time, same station.